We, lights, camera, someone. Carnival is a movie with women in the festival. Yes. Carnival is a movie with women in the bacchanal. Carnival is a movie with women with the pretty girl. Carnival is a movie. This one is international. Stars.
All right. Yep. We are here with you. Good evening to everyone that tuned in to tonight's program. We're going to kick it off in just a few. But before we kick it off, we got to say we have a missing member of the crew tonight. Martin Al Amin on assignment. So he's going to be missing tonight. But myself and Selector Sherwin, will be.
You can
Yeah.
cook it up.
Yeah, we're going to cook it up. But before we get into it too tight, Sherwin, you got to give them the disclaimer before we get into tonight's conversation.
All right, and the disclaimer goes as the views, information, and opinions expressed during this program are solely those of the host, guests, and callers in the program involved in the program and do not necessarily represent the views of Majestic Music Radio, its management, or the host or advertisers. Majestic Music is not responsible and does not verify for accuracy of any information contained in this radio program. This program does not constitute medical or professional advice and is solely for entertainment purposes only.
Yep. Again, that's solely for entertainment. But of course, we give you properly researched information. You can go verify that on Google. Go research your information, especially the stuff that we talk about, so that you can better edify yourself. Because this is why we are on here, not to preach and to beat and teach, yes, but to also stimulate you to get out there and to do some research for yourself, upgrade your mind in the particular industry that you're seeking to garner income from, or that you want to get involved in a little deeper. So it's good to do that bit of research.
Yep.
And understand what it is that you're getting involved in. This evening we want to talk a little bit about a couple of events that are coming up. Summer is coming, proverbially, when Guyana is 365 days. It's wrong the clock summer for Guyanese, but you know what we're talking about. So for those people who live in the places that they're now moving from winter to spring, and then we can go to summer, a lot is going to be happening in terms of events across the spectrum. Also, there are events with, for example, a big event which is happening August the 29th of this year is the Caribbean Music Awards. That's, happening in 84 days, 13 hours and 18 minutes away. So that's just to give you a breakdown of,
Yeah, that's an event that I would encourage, especially artists, to see if you can actually attend, no matter where the position is you might be. Just attend, just to have that kind of a feel of where they're actually trying to head with music that's coming out of the Caribbean or the CARICOM hemisphere, the Caribbean market, and feel that vibe of wanting to be hungry to get into that building as a nominee.
But is that the only way they're going to get into that building, I was just going to make mention that June the 30th is the time where is the expiration of the time for you to nominate your artists or producers or whoever in whatever categories they have, June 30th is the deadline for submission. So I'm hoping that we're not gonna have the same repeat like previous years where Guyanese artists and supporters of Guyanese music were saying, excuse me, that we weren't getting on the Caribbean Music Awards because it's right there, it's available. You can check out their website. Their ticket sales available there. They have also put the categories, the nominees, how you can nominate. So yeah, get involved with it. Now it's time for you know Guyana not to say, well, another time come around and they didn't give us an opportunity.
Right, right, right.
Yeah, yeah, because it's right there now for artists. For example, the artist of the year. Um, there is a vote there. This and the information there. Let me just kind of pull it up.
I
And,
know if I'm correct, I
Mhm.
don't think last year they had a chutney category. If I'm not if I'm correct. But I think that was one of the categories that was
They've
missing.
added.
And
Have they
I
added
su-
it though?
I
Based on
suppose they will add it because there was actually there was somebody that made mention it of that while they were I think it was while they were presenting the thank you for their thing. I think something
okay.
like that was mentioned. So you definitely
So
know there's a possibility.
at least we've got the gospel category in there, which I
Yeah,
mean, a lot
we
of
got
Guyanese should jump on that. Make
we
sure
got
they
some
vote
great, yeah.
vote for our gospel artists to be in there. One of our prominent artists can go in there. Samuel Madas can be nominated in
But
that
you
category.
still gotta wait until you see who's in the nominations.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Damn.
Well, again, um, this is we don't have a PRO to be submitting information from what's happening in Guyana, so it's going to be very difficult to be i- on events like this because really the information, for example, for the Jamaicans, the Trinidadians, and the Caribbean artists are coming from JAMPRO, from ASCAP, from those PRO bodies throughout the Caribbean.
So they're actually members of those.
Yeah, and they're tracking and giving the information regarding sales, numbers, events, all of that. Because this is why it's very important to have a portfolio.
Right.
Because, for example, if you ask a Guyanese artist, can you send me an EPK? Can you just email me your portfolio? And really, your portfolio is supposed to have your EPK, which
Yeah.
is your electronic press kit. It's also supposed to have other bits of information, which would include prior engagements, shows that you have participated in, that you've done, events. That kind of thing is what you need to get done. And you have a portfolio that you can email, whether electronically or you have that physically.
Yeah.
So this is where again, and it all goes now stretches back to the PRO in Guyana that is needed, um, that can represent us as Guyanese artists and creators. All right, and then get us into these areas. For example, nominees for the Caribbean Music Award, and we have very good artists, but how do we get in to have their names? I think an artist like Samuel Madas could possibly be nominated in the gospel category.
Well, I mean, definitely you got to make sure that he push through the his material and everything and make sure that they get all
Well,
that is required for that so that you don't know the whole game are gonna rally around and
well, that
supposed to be.
well. The first thing we need to do is to ensure that in that category, which it says Caribbean Gospel Honors, and that will go to the award recognizes outstanding contribution to gospel music within the Caribbean region, um, honoring individuals and the groups who have made a significant impact through their music and ministry. All right. Recipients of this award are distinguished for their dedication to gospel music their commitment to excellence, and their positive influence on the lives of others in the Caribbean community. So from that alone, that in my estimation is what they're giving as the overall criteria for the nomination of a particular artist in that category of Caribbean gospel honorees. So I think Samuel, based on how he has come out, the his influence on the Caribbean music, the fact
Yeah.
that he's been awarded one of the newest upcoming Caribbean gospel artists. This would be excellent for Guyana to rally around, for example, Samuel Madas in the Caribbean Gospel Honorees category to ensure that, again, we don't have the argument about, oh, Guyanese artists were nominated for the Caribbean Award, so we need to have our own award, which really shows immaturity in the ability to compete, because this is what it's all about. We're talking about competing in the industry internationally and not just locally, but regionally and further afield, which would include internationally. All right. Um, there are several other categories. There's Calypso. Um, I don't know if we want to enter some of our stalwarts who have been around for a while in those categories. I don't know how, in terms of the nominations, would go, because they are not, again, um, in the case of some of the gospel artists, they've made sure that they're under a PRO and that their information is being disseminated to these events. So I don't know about the Calypsonians from Guyana if that is available for them. International DJ of the Year. So that's another category that's up there. Um, you gotta check it out, man. There's like several, um, and remember, voting ends Sunday, June the 30th. So if you want to get on that page, get on that page now. Look at the categories. You got basically 24 days, 12 hours, and 31 minutes to vote. Make sure you vote for your artist or nominate your favorite artist in the categories that are up there. Um, you know, it's pretty straightforward to me. Um, where I don't think that we can be possibly left out. I know they're looking at numbers as well, but I think as Guyanese, if we look, for example, if we look at Samuel Madas's numbers, he's got some good numbers, which I think can basically compete internationally. We have other artists who've got numbers that can compete internationally, but I don't know if they're, let's say, well known in Guyana. You know, they're not very well known. For example, we have one of the biggest soca artists in the Caribbean since the early '90s, who's Militant, right? The guy who brought to the world groovy soca, hot and
Yeah.
groovy. All right, he's been around, and Guyanese haven't recognized him. They haven't reached out to him for events to have him in Guyana either. And he's one of the premier artists across the Caribbean, and one of representing in Trinidad as well. Even Trinidad and Tobago artists cover that song coming out of Militant, who's a Guyanese artist. Militant is going to be on Caravana um, this August in Canada. So we've got to look at the real artists that we have, support them, and that will catapult the industry a little further and help with its progress and its whole development. But again, I'm hoping that people really take up looking at the Caribbean Music Awards that's coming up real soon. It's coming up in August. Um, to be exact, it's August the 29th, 2024 at King's Theater in Brooklyn, New York. Um, so you got 81 days, 12 hours, and 28 minutes to kind of decide if you're going to be there or not. But also make sure you check out the categories for, especially for the Guyanese artists who had a lot to say about it. You have
There's a big
24.
Yo, it was a big views down after
Yeah, it was a big
last year's
views
show.
though.
There
Yeah,
was a lot of back and forth, and
Mm-hmm,
you know,
mm-hmm.
what I mean, now there's the possibilities.
Yeah,
You know, what I
yeah.
mean, so
And we were mentioning it before, but now we're actually bringing the information to the fore because you got 24 days, 12 hours, and 28 minutes to ensure that you can go there and get your artist nominated, get into the categories, vote for your favorite artist from the Caribbean as well. Because let's not be selfish. If we want the people from the Caribbean to get involved with our industry, get involved with our music, to like it and support it, we've also got to show that support. Not just from, okay, well, we bring Caribbean artists to Guyana and have a show. Yes, this is because we're consuming what they have to offer. All
exactly.
right. And so that's not real support. We are the consumers. We are the ones who are demanding that they come so that we can consume what they have to offer. But we have to have that reciprocated as well, and we've got to make sure that we're putting out the best material out there, so
Yeah,
that they will also do the same thing. Support, vote for our artists to be nominated in various categories, especially in the Caribbean Music Award system, because I believe that this system will grow to the point where it will then rival basically the Grammys in the US, because this is why this is here, to really acknowledge the contribution of Caribbean artists. Because the Caribbean is a pretty small region. Guyana with 750,000, Barbados with like just above 200,000 people, Trinidad with about 2 point people. It goes through. So throughout the Caribbean, we have a community that is a full market that we can then capitalize on. That I think that we should be capitalizing on. So I think the Caribbean Music Award is representing the entire Caribbean. And on the performance and competitive stage, this is where our artists need to shine, because we yes, we can shine at home, but when we say dance a yard, we're talking about the entire Caribbean, because the entire Caribbean is where we are supposed to be marketing our music throughout the Caribbean. And when we do that, then it will be taken to the next level. It goes to North America, you know,
correct.
um, Europe and stuff. People will export it without you asking, but you've got to ensure that there is a promotion that is keeping it relevant in the Caribbean, that people will then like it and take it further afield.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's
Yeah,
it's
man.
not it's not it's not rocket science at all.
Nah, simple as that. But you just gotta get in the act of getting on the website and
Mm-hmm.
figure out what you wanna, or what you wanna choose.
Uh huh.
Get your information down, however they need it to or need to have it,
Mm-hmm.
and like
Well,
everybody says, it's either. It's one of the two.
yeah.
You have nothing to lose. You want to get out there. You want to get your name
Mm-hmm.
and your product out there. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Just simply, people don't understand. Just simply being nominated is a big plus.
Mm-hmm.
Not you don't even have to win the category. Sometimes
Mm-hmm.
just being a nominee, you
Mm-hmm.
definitely already start reaching that next level. Your
Okay.
music, yeah.
True. True. That's a fact. But while we're on this topic of the whole Caribbean Music Award system, there is a performance of the year category as well. All right. Um, there is this individual is awarded this category is this individual is awarded for their ability to command the stage and maintain the engagement of the crowd. He or she is classified as a showstopper,
Mm-hmm.
is a crowd favorite, and a consistent deliverer, delivers amazing content or amazing performance.
Right.
So you got categories, bro. I think we have a couple of people in in Guyana that are, I mean, they're really good um, in terms of that area. They're really good at emceeing a show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I didn't know though.
Well, you see, this is where again, talent. any talent, even MCs in Guyana, have to have a management structure as well and a marketing structure, because you've got to solicit events that you think will up your standard every time that you're presenting. So if you want to pursue, this is what I've been saying all the time. If people want to pursue a certain career, they've got to look at it seriously from the business aspect,
Hmm.
and look at it and go at it in that form. you know there's also a category called camper band of the year, which I haven't seen before.
Yeah, yeah, that was there last year.
That was there, yeah, last year.
Yeah.
Probably I didn't remember that, but that's
Or,
that
or,
that's a
or
bit
this is
odd.
this is a band, right?
Yeah, this
No,
is
it's like
band of the year.
me. I'm not sure what the band. I know they had company though because they had a winner from Haiti.
Hmm. And then
Yeah.
there's also the vote for the female soca, reggae, and dance all of the year female artist. And
Right.
of course, this artist is awarded a recognized male or female artist who has made a significant impact on the music industry through his talent, charisma, and artistic achievements. That will be your accolades, of course. The artist um, captivates audience with his or her musical prowess, creativity, and compelling performance. He or she is um, is a trailblazer in he or she particular field or area. And then we're talking about, and you can vote for, this is called the Artist of the Year, female soca, reggae, dancehall. Sorry, I didn't need to say female alone, male and female categories.
Woohoo! We got a good a good nominee. I think what's her name was keeping up a little bit with some of the reggae music and also soca music. Um, what's her name again? Um,
You mean with the artist trying to straddle both
yeah.
genres?
Uh,
I don't know how that'll work. I don't know how that works.
yeah, I can't
I
remember.
seriously, I don't know how it works. I don't know how it works. I hope at some point, because I think artists need to understand you can't be here, there, and everywhere. All right,
Yeah,
you
pick a
you gotta
side, man.
yeah, you gotta hold a particular style, genre, however you're doing your thing, and you stay there. You just decide, okay, I'm gonna produce the best raga soca, ring bang raga soca. you know, because one of the things that Guyanese artists don't realize is that they have a genre. They've been crying, oh, well, in order to develop, we think we gotta get our own genre, but we do have. It's recognized internationally as ring bang, and it was coined by Eddie Grant, but we don't want to use it. All right, Guyanese don't want to use what they have. If they were to rally under the whole banner of ring bang music coming out of Guyana, they would then understand the power that it has under that body. You understand? But again, I mean, the formulation of the industry has to start somewhere. And that starting somewhere has to start with the creatives coming together to lobby the legislature so that they can put certain things in place, so that the next step that we go in the process, we can formulate the PROs that can represent the different aspects of the business. They can represent the producers, they can represent the artists, they could represent the designers, they could represent the engineers, that kind of thing then starts to happen from that structure. But first, we have to have legislation so that it can have teeth,
Yep.
because it can be a toothless dog. You can just be able to bark with the gum, but you cannot enforce anything in terms of anything. You can't pursue a lawsuit. You cannot get lawyers to cease and desist. There is no actual real penalty when people do copyright infringements or violate contract arrangements in a certain manner to do with IP. So all of those things we need to have in place. And the only way we're going to have those in place is through the legislation.
Okay.
So, operating from the standpoint of saying, okay, we're going to start it by starting the PRO first and then go back to legislation, it just doesn't work. Right, yeah, it just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we got to understand the stages of the structure. So it's got to start with the legislation, because if you go to the PRO first, that means the PRO will be a dog, well, a poodle without teeth, because it can't do nothing but make a set of noise. So the legislation is first. Um, coming together and forming, I think coming together and forming a body that can then lobby the legislation should be first. All right. Once that is formulated and the legislation is now on board, where we can actually, the creatives can actually make a presentation in Parliament during a sitting, right? We will better be able to inform both sides of the aisle, the government and the opposition, of the points of views we would like, what we would like implemented, and how we can get it done. All right. What we can do is have probably persons like myself to kind of give the broader framework, and
Right.
then we can have a legal mind, like a lawyer, come in and then give them the legal framework, which would include how it works, including the tax regimes and stuff like that. Will then benefit the government, because I think one of the things they're looking for is how do we benefit from this whole investment in music industry. But it's
Yeah.
supposed to be an investment because it's part of the cultural development of your country.
Yeah, but the thing is that you are coming to the place of great interest of
Mhm.
especially like tourism,
Yeah,
great
yeah.
interest of so many different things, and we know that if you're doing that, you will eventually have a lot of tourists coming in, a lot of people coming to visit, etc.
Hmm.
Um, somebody could sit down and just take the words of a man's song, and he has no way that he can protect it. Somebody could just record his song, eventually go back and sing it and put it on a.
But the funny thing about it, several Guyanese artists have indicated to me that they felt that somebody had infringed um, on their product, on their copyright. Um, Up to the other day, one of them reached out to me and he said, "No, Malachi, I don't know how you do a comparison here for me and tell me if this piece of lyric that came out of a very popular Jamaican artist by the name of Massacre, if this is not my lyrics." And it sounds very much like you know like the guy's lyric. But again, what you got to understand about the music industry, it's about time stamp and first come first serve. So if he was registered all that information and stuff before you,
Mm-hmm.
well, unfortunately, how the business goes is cat eat your dinner, unless you have further proof beyond the point that he has registered that to say, well, this is my production. That means you got to go back to now date stamping in a computer where the actual file of the production was made. All
Yep.
right. So if you don't have that information, so there
You're
is
out,
where, yeah,
out
you're
like
out.
so.
You're out. You're not making sense in terms of getting any reprise for getting back your stuff. And this is the business. This is not people being wicked to you, because that's the thing with our people. Um, when you tell them do business, they don't want to do business correctly. But then when something goes wrong, they tend to say, "Oh well, they blame it on other people, and not look at it that, hey, this is my responsibility to understand the business, understand what I'm getting into, and to make the proper steps to ensure I'm doing the right thing."
Yep.
This is where we really lack the info, and I'm hoping over time, that we come to grips with it. Um, and as we do these programs that we do, that we're able to edify and reach more people. so they can understand that, hey guys, this is what we actually are supposed to be doing to make the business of music from Guyana beneficial, and to grow the industry where we can now bring younger individuals into it as well.
Exactly.
Because that's the whole drive. We gotta bring young people in the thing. We can't have the thing like,
You see, the thing is, it's all about most naturally. Everything is seasons, and even though uh, even though older artists might be singing for a long period of time,
mm-hmm,
if you notice what's happened many times they actually an artist. Well, we know most times they love to stick, or they're stuck in a type of structure
yeah,
when they're not elevated to what today is of today. Right? It,
mm-hmm,
it goes with any individual on a normal day level. As you get older, you realize that there's certain things that you actually miss because it's going at a pace where the trend is what's trending today. And we know that even in my time, you know what I mean,
mm-hmm.
whatever I was doing in the period of time that was fun for me and my friends around me, man that was there before me, even though they're still in the music business, they're not interested. They're not too happy about it. So
Mm-hmm.
so you just gotta make sure you know get these young people involved, and they bring that kind of that kind of a crowd of interest with
Yeah,
what
they bring a lot of energy to the whole vibe.
exactly, and that's where you gotta invest in, because they give you a longer term of of the sure investment. If you're
Hmm.
dealing with business, you know for
Yeah,
sure you can
they have a longer time span. They have longevity. This is why
exactly.
older individuals don't get record deals. Because really and truly, hate to put it raw, but you're too old. You understand? It's a
Yep,
problem with a lot of our artists as well.
yep,
Um, you basically have to have a hit song out there already to basically stay on the stage for a long period of time. That's how it works. It's simple as that, really. Um,
yep.
for example, a lot of the artists that you see now that are older artists now, the reason that they are still on tour and they are relevant to this day is because obviously they have had songs that were relevant, hit songs that were relevant. People remember those songs, you know. Oh, excuse me. And people go back, and the whole nostalgic thing, reminisce. Okay, good. This is what 90s dance hall or stuff sounded like. So people tend to go back to old hit music. So you gotta have a hit song out there already as an artist who is up in age in the business.
Because it resonates with a concept, maybe with a certain uh, type of crowd, according
Hmm.
to the age level, according to the concept of the because we know that Maxi Priest,
Hmm.
Warrington Levy, Barry Salmon, these
Hmm.
guys are older guys. Their
Yeah,
music,
those are the 90s.
real classics.
Yeah, reggae and dancehall artists.
Their music is not forgotten that easy. Their music has some kind of
Substance.
it has a catch that even a younger person, catches on to the catch of the
Well, I
music
I
that they
I,
have.
I won't I wouldn't even classify it as catchy. I would call it the music has substance. It
It got
has
some good substance.
it got
All right.
substance and it got relevance to this day.
Yeah.
So because good music is music that could cut across time. That's what we call good music. That is what we call hit music. It's
Right.
like, you remember when we were talking about some of the old greats, for example, like Louis Armstrong, with the writing of "What a Wonderful World." Now, if you look at just the lyrics of "It's a What a Wonderful World," like I was saying, a child could have written that song, but a child could not write that song. All right, that song is so complex. You have had to had so much experience in life to be able to look at it from a simplistic standpoint, to be able to write that down so that even a child could acknowledge the words, but they could
Exactly.
not actually put that
Put
song
it
together.
together.
You know what I mean? Saxophone Louis Armstrong is a genius of his time, bro. Yeah.
What a wonderful world.
Mm-hmm.
That song is crazy. Yeah, but I just wanna encourage everybody to understand the the importance of gaining the experience not only as an artist, but you could go out to the Caribbean Music Awards. You got young artists coming out. Another set of
Mm-hmm.
folks that I would encourage is managers and producers.
Yeah.
You're interested in that area, that
Because
place.
you got a network. You
Yeah,
can't
you gotta
do it
make sure
alone.
you
You
go
got a network.
around, look at what the atmosphere is like. Don't be too, locked off and put yourself in a nutshell. You gotta
Mm-hmm.
think big and think out of the box.
Yeah, you got to
Cause
think
you
outside
know
the
what's
box.
gonna soon happen? By next year, I'm sure, when international artists realize that Caribbean Music Award is getting popular and they they're hungry for awards.
They are going to be vying to
They're
get
gonna
into the very
eventually
region.
they're
Exactly.
gonna do a lot of collabs to get
Yep, to
into
get
the market.
into the region. It's the same thing
So,
like what they did with Afrobeats.
exactly.
All right,
So
it's
if
the
you
same
don't
thing.
make you don't jump in and get your name in the swing, your name being mentioned and all these things, other other people
Mm.
out there waiting for that opportunity to say, I can grab on this one, bro, because I'm gonna end up right there. You
Uh,
know which song, might end up this song that Born a Boy and this guy sing from the guy from St. Kitts, I think he is from.
I know what you're talking about. Byron
Yeah,
Messiah.
Byron
Hmm.
Messiah.
Hmm.
That song might come this year. It might be end up in nominations. And
Hmm.
little do we might know, it might end up on the side of the collab.
But 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 little do you know, there's a big controversy about Byron Messiah where
No. Byron
there's a
Messiah is
claim.
having
Oh,
he's having a
there's a
problem.
claim about he biting the hand that
No.
feeds.
No.
So
He's having a problem directly with the people in Jamaica, the Jamaicans. He's
okay,
directly having that issue. But in the sense of what his music did and the listenership and all these
yeah.
different things and the amount of shows that he hit
Mhm. Uh-huh.
because of that song, there's a possibility that song might end up in the nominees.
Yeah, there is a
You never
possibility
know.
that
Yeah.
yeah.
Another
But
another another guy to look. I don't know if it's gonna be this year. He's gonna end up in the categories.
mm,
Is Nige Boy as an upcoming artist or the brand new artist
well,
category?
definitely he's gonna be nominated
Of course.
as the hottest upcoming artist. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
These are the things that's gonna rock.
Well,
You know what I mean?
this is what we have been trying to get our artists who favorite, because when we started our basic drive to promote Guyanese music, Trinidad music was nowhere on the map.
Right.
All right, and Trinidad music came from behind and with um, caught up and surpassed
Yeah.
what we were offering. So we have to look at those things and say, listen, it's not anybody's fault, right? But it is our fault that we were unable to get our thing together with the legislation we're talking about, get our protection, because we can't expect to be protected out there and nobody else's stuff is protected by us.
Exactly.
So it's a two-way street. It's not a one-way thing. So we have to have a clear understanding of what that particular direction is and work towards that. And for the artists in Guyana, we've got to really look, because what I've been doing for quite a few months now, I have been linked with a few. When I say maestros in the business, I'm talking about maestros across the world that produce some of the best artists, from Eric Clapton in London, in the UK,
Yeah.
to artists in Jamaica that do productions at Lego Studio in Jamaica, in Waterhouse. So and everybody has said, listen, Guyanese artists, they're coming up. Their writing skills, the ability, the use of words to convey messages very quickly, they're getting to that zenith point. It's like it's a developing industry, but in order for it to develop, we need to have an enabling environment that allows the artist to focus all their attention on producing good music, putting out good production.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
so that's where we're saying, hey, the government has got to play their part and allow this development to happen.
I don't know, man. It's a very sad situation where uh everything is easily categorized as political in Guyana,
Yeah,
instead of it being properly approached in a
yeah.
way that this is coming to you in a neutral way.
No, no,
Because
this issue is not political. This is a social issue.
no,
This
but
is
I'm
a social
saying
development issue.
it is easily categorized. Because let me tell you something. One of the worst things that I see that happens down there is, as soon as the opposition or folks that is blogging and is more in the sense of not for the present um government,
Uh
that
huh.
is not a supporter or so,
Yeah.
the first thing they do, they pick up somebody's concern and somebody's issues of what they're trying to work and deal with,
Uh-huh.
and then they find a way to push it into the sense of, oh, it's because of, oh, it's because, and it goes straight into the political side. That
Why have they never picked up this particular issue?
somebody a man will not pick up something that they don't want to go through the whole fine details to understand properly what they're talking about, instead of just making noise. Because I'm sure there's a lot of people that did not take the time, even though they're hearing what we're talking about, that did not take the time to properly sit down and read that what's really the reason these guys is
Exactly,
continuously talking about this stuff.
because of the importance of it. It deals with every facet, because IP law deals with everything coming from the mind. Everything that you could think of is governed under a particular law.
But they could have put the pressure on, in the sense of talking something that makes sense, instead of doing that kind of a gimmick blog. You know what I
Well,
mean?
but this is what I'm trying to say. Instead of going down the road of believing that you could put the cart before the horse, you have to understand the unique circumstances in which your country lies or dwells in. All right. And from that unique circumstance, we know Guyana ain't got updated intellectual property right laws.
Right.
Right. People who are CARICOM involved lawyers know this about Guyana already. We had one of these lawyers that we had on our program, Lloyd Stansbury. All right. You can check out our Guyana Industry show page, and you're going to see that particular interview up there, as well as interviews like, for example, the owner of Jack Russell Music,
Yeah.
who was indicating was giving more of the Indian ins and outs about publishing and royalties, and how that really develops, and how that can affect the artist and the lack of IP laws in the country of origin, how that would affect the artist development. So once you could go back and get all this information on our pages, and of course, you can look back to prior programs that we've done interviews with individuals who, have disseminated information that's really, really pertinent to the Guyana music industry development. Because these are people who understand how it works, because they were there in even the development of the Jamaican music industry,
Yeah.
you know. So they're able to give us good ideas. And one of the things that I think our artists need to look at, our creatives overall, we're talking designers, whether you're doing computer graphics, graphics artists, you're doing music videos, photography, all of that is covered on the IP. Now, all of these people, at least in Guyana, make up over 5,000 people in the creatives, right? And do you know that 5,000 people is a seat in parliament? Now, if you find that the politicians are not paying attention to the particular issue of IP that deals with the creatives, what the creatives could do is say, okay, well, next elections, what we will do, we will throw our vote behind the party. This is why we need a body. We will throw our vote behind a party that will look at the issue of IP or intellectual property right laws. All right? That is where the effect will happen. Because if you don't have something that affects the bread and butter for politicians or affects their power structure, you're not going to have much movement with them. So, this is why we've been saying first, we have to have a body that can lobby the legislation. And in lobbying the legislation is where we say, this is what we're proposing as a development course in terms of IP. um, we have a body of individuals which make up a constituent which can benefit you in the legislation, which would be the votes in any election
Yeah.
that is needed. So you this is where you are adding the added pressure to them to focus on that particular issue. When they focus on that issue now, and they start to then look at the legislation, updated legislation, which they can get from CARICOM itself, because we are the head of CARICOM, but we're still the pirate of the Caribbean.
Right.
We can get that information and quickly implement it through workshops and PSIs and educating the population on what these IP right laws that are coming in will be about. For example, you and I both know, Sherwin, that during the COVID period, the United States introduced, I think it was 120 new intellectual property right laws. And this was to govern the fact that people were working from home.
Correct.
There were a lot of apps and different sites that were providing services so that people could work from home. You know, webcasters and all of that came. They got big. People became billionaires during the COVID period just because of the lockdown. All right, because they
And
were
that,
able to see the
and,
niche for that.
yep. And that's
Mhm.
where they had to hurry up, fast pace, and
Fast-paced
try to
more
cover.
laws,
Yeah, to cover
exactly, to cover
because
that.
they found they were losing.
Yep,
They was losing, and definitely they had to cover the tracks in
yep.
order to continue to garnish all that they're supposed to. Even when things are not on the pers, you on a personal, flow out
Hmm.
there. They had to find a way to say, "Nah, we got to figure to get that money still."
Yeah.
What I
No,
mean?
no. I mean, the other day I was trying to explain to a photographer, right, that even in his business of photography, IP is part of his business, because when you take a picture,
Yeah,
the copyright for that photo doesn't belong to the person who you took it for, but it belongs to you, really. So it's a whole relearning process for Guyanese to get up to date
yeah,
and up to scratch. And we need to start it now, because as an emerging economy, we can't afford to sit back and wait until when? The education at least has got to begin now. Because if the artists, the creatives in Guyana don't get that education, when IP laws comes into being, they will be lost.
yeah,
Because if we've taken this amount of time to just develop the basics, we're going to take even more time. And this is why we're here to try to fast track that process because we've seen where the flaws are.
You know.
Hmm.
But anyway, what we can do, man? We could only I would say it's a conversation that comes up almost every time as a
Mm-hmm.
as a quick recap. Sometimes it lasts for a good period of time within the conversation,
Yeah.
and we might think that they are not listeners that is considering to research and also to weigh the options where they need to so that they can actually capitalize. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? The thing is that is left is for a body to be created, like you said,
Mm-hmm.
and create that passion to push in order to get the country, to get those laws in place.
You see,
There,
what has been, sorry, Sherman, what has been
yeah,
restricting the growth really, and I think we really have to deal with it straightforward, is the, there's a lack of goodwill and good nature and trust.
okay,
All right, because individuals feel like a lot of people feel that once an artist start getting a little popularity and stuff in Guyana, um, oh, the first thing other people who are not involved with the actual business with the artist will tell them, you gotta watch out, cause them manager and people is rob you. All right. Now, I am totally amazed sometimes at some of that conversation because how do you get robbed of what you got or what you don't have? Because many of the artists, I should say, 100% of the artists out of Guyana are basically working off of investment which they have taken thrown in or others have thrown in, and they're just repeating that investment over and over and trying to stay relevant. All right, because I haven't seen, especially Guyanese artists on the ground, because I know quite a few Guyanese artists outside of Guyana that have the ability to throw 5 and 10,000 US behind their music and promoting and marketing themselves.
well, it's because of the lack of understanding how far it can take you when you are properly, your music is properly covered, and them men don't understand. I mean, listen, the society is this thing sound good. Everybody talking about you. Everybody talking about it.
No, but in
Um,
our estimation, we everybody is nobody. We everybody is nobody because we
yeah, but
actually
there's
look.
how
One of
there's
the
how the
first things,
regular
look,
societies run it.
I have told Guyanese artists, have you ever thought of hiring a publicist? All right. Now, one of the things they need to understand is that there are different segments. When you want to grow, you must have certain individuals involved. You must have a publicist because all the media information, the stuff that goes out to magazines, that goes out to social media, and all of that has got to be handled by somebody who is competent in that structure as a publicist.
Yeah,
All right, and the word speaks for itself. For itself, publicist means to publicize or to promote, to market that particular individual brand music. So we got to get our minds first into understanding the structure of how it's put together. Because if we don't understand the structure, it's like what I have said, is like what Mr. Stansbury have said. We can't put the cart before the horse. It's not going to work.
well, like I said, it's the same. Coming back to the same thing that you said earlier, it's there's a lot of cockroaches and hypocrites within the whole deal of, you know,
I glad
um,
you. I glad you mentioned cockroaches. Remind me, I got something to say when you finish. Go ahead.
because no, because the whole thing is that individuals is gonna continuously try to esteem themselves higher than and better than who is trying to actually help or who's
Look,
trying to actually
actually,
get you
what is
get
happening?
get you into the whole realm of how the business goes. Of course, if I come to you as a grown man, I got family, I got a full day ahead to count for whatever I do during my day. After I got all this information, after all the research that I've done, all the people that I network with, and all the different things, and I actually form a an entity where you can actually and come through us so that you can deal with whatever it is concerning your career or concerning a song or
Hmm.
concerning you as an artist. You
Hmm.
know, the first thing is by that man I know what they're saying. That man
Look,
can just get you on a corner and that man hustling for ask you
no.
every day, tell
One
you
of the
every day
reasons,
how much more money you gotta spend here, how much money more you gotta spend there, blah
for
blah
example,
blah.
I'll give you an example of this. I'm sure. One of the reasons I mentioned the issue of a portfolio earlier is because, for example, when you're trying to get your music onto certain radio stations for promotion and stuff and rotation,
Mhm.
you have got to show a portfolio which not only shows your numbers, all right, but also gives the entity the idea that listen, we're dealing with a top tier artist,
Mhm.
all right. So the idea of promoting your music should be 20% of what you really do is creating the material, and 80% of what you do after creating that material is the marketing of that material. And that is across the board
Right.
in every sector, whether you're doing photography, whether you're doing book writing, script writing for movies, script writing for sitcoms, short films, documentaries, anything like that. You understand?
Yeah.
This is why I said IP is not only um, you know locked into to music, because even if you look at the graphic artwork aspect of it, where people create these flyers and posters and banners for different shows and events, if we had, as I was saying, the correct enabling environment, they would be able to benefit tremendously from being able to design those things, because of course you have to be paid royalties for that design. In other words, it's like you creating an ad and putting it up on and having it placed on TV. There must be a percentage of the placement costs that you get, because you are also the producer of that ad. You're the person that created that content. So first you get paid to create the content, but still you get a percentage because of of the cost that's running that content now to market that content. So you get a percentage of that marketing as well.
That's continuous.
Yeah, you
Yes.
know, and it goes for a certain time period. After that, it is renewed.
Yeah.
So we
The
have to
little make will
understand.
make a muckle, bro.
Yeah, you see,
Eventually it becomes bigger than the one time collection.
look, I'll give you a full laugh, right? In Guyana, the artists could make a lot of money, but they're not focused on the business. For example, when you go to a lot of the parties, they play Stitchy song, right?
Right.
A lot of the Guyanese parties. Now, Stitchy could have claimed for his royalties in the US if he was properly registered. because the establishments in the US have to pay blanket license,
Right.
especially if they are events oriented, if they
Right.
are hotels, if they are certain like malls and stuff like that, shopping centers, they pay blanket license for music. So when you go in and you hearing that light music playing in the background, they're paying for that.
Right.
All right. So we are not, the artists are not understanding the business aspect of it, and this is where they're losing out and losing a lot because of that lack of education.
Man, as much as you can do, and there's so much that you can only do, Malachi. I mean, this is a passion that you've been sharing throughout the years. I've heard you go on interview. Um, I've heard you went on all these workshops overseas,
Yeah.
went back home, share your a little bit of the knowledge that you gain.
Hmm.
There's a lot of encouragement, and also whenever your name pops up, I'm talking about especially from big radio announcers in Guyana, you
Hmm.
will find them actually giving that kind of a appraisal in the sense of this is the man that is always behind and trying to get Guyanese music to where it's
Right. Not
supposed to be.
not not a seasonal thing,
Right.
because
It's
let me
always
give you a laugh. Let me give you a laugh that I found hilarious. Well, of course, James Bond and my artist Negus had started a stir online in Guyana on social media about Guyanese music and the artists and getting airplay and stuff like that.
yeah.
And it was a discussion, and one of the very popular journalists in Guyana, Gordon Mosley, got involved in it. And he
Right.
mentioned, he said, all this hullabaloo about Guyanese music, let's see how the support, because mainly it's about the support mechanism. Let us see if it will last, because we're hearing people, we're seeing you posting music, we're seeing you talking about it. Let's see how long we can keep that level of support up. All right. Gordon said, I will give you until the end of May. All right. Now, at the end of May, on the exact day at the end of May, I came back on and I created a post and I said, imagine the Gordon had said this and it happened.
And he win
It's
the race.
on right. It's unbelievable that our people would argue about um, their music and airplay and all of that. And at the end, not even a full 3 months, it will all wither away on social media, because if you're gonna keep up a pressure, it can be for 3 months. All right.
Exactly.
So when I made that statement and I put it up on my page, a young lady decided to share it to her page
Right.
and then start to like lash out at me for saying, who how am I to accuse Guyanese for not supporting Guyanese and Guyanese music? So Gordon replied. A few other people had their comments, but it was ironic that the very person that was lashing out at me claims on her page that she also is promoting Guyanese music. Some of the videos that she has on her page are created by me, right? It's totally funny. It's totally hilarious, right? I thought it was so funny. And all I said to her after, I said, you know, just for fun, I could actually just get your page, just strike your page and remove my material, but I am not that petty and don't have really time to waste, because if she's claiming that she wants to promote Guyanese music and the culture, well, go ahead and promote. Why are you angry because I kind of just looked at something that happened and said, hey, this makes sense? Because if we're supposed to be promoting our industry, our music, and we can't keep it going for you know a good little while, we definitely have a problem.
Yeah.
And is a problem we have to look at seriously as Guyanese. You understand? And this is where we I don't know. We I don't know. We want to sweep the problem under the carpet. I don't know what we want to do.
Yeah, but it was always a culture, Guyanese culture, that um, foreign or international content is what to look forward to
Or
over
is better.
over local content.
Hmm.
When it comes to local content, it must be gimmickal and not of so much serious, so that you can say, well, yes, okay,
Well,
we
you
are
guys say gimmickal or comical.
right.
Mm.
So it's more respected of what is coming in, more than what is created within. And that's some of the things that can actually hurt the society when you don't realize that, you know what, we want to make sure that we preserve what we have. All
Hmm.
right. And also,
Advance it.
yes, advance it, enhance, whatever, however you want to put it. But
Yeah.
the whole thing is what kind of passion are you building up with what's coming out from within? You know what I mean?
Hmm.
From time to time, you will find that there's a season that goes to that angle. And
Hmm.
then when you realize, because of all the lashing out and the fighting and the bickering between these guys, and knowing that yeah, it's a small society,
Hmm.
almost everybody knows what's going on throughout the
Somebody who
length
knows
and breadth.
somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody.
And let me tell you something. One of the easiest things to do is to, and that's one of the things that I have pulled myself away from, is getting somebody to hate somebody without them knowing really who the person is. Or getting somebody to hate somebody because of what you come out and say, just because what you have a lot of people like, okay, you come out, you have a lot of people that follows you because of the nonsense, some kind of nonsense that you does every day.
Hmm.
A man is coming out with something valuable or valuable to say, well, okay, you know what, this making sense. Um, where these stouts at, in the sense of people start calling this guy up to say, you have anybody you working with, whatever, whatever, whatever. The people are more, in that kind of frame of mind to say, yo, this producer call me, that producer call me, this person want to work with me, that person want to work with me. It brings some kind of sense of awareness, right? But
Hmm.
by the time the man could even think about that, he got lashed down because so many people come. Who is this one here now? And that's how it goes. So there's no preservation with
Hmm.
nothing that's coming out most of the times. You know, um, I would say Samuel, and there's the some of the other gospel artists, because
Hmm.
of the culture and because of the let's put it in a sense of the religion, instead of
The
there's a
area that
body
they're in. Yeah, yeah. There's
there's
a
a
body.
body that holds towards that, and that
Hmm.
pushes, so you know for sure it's within the realm of singing to the sense of belief, right?
Hmm.
Also, the chutney, like what's his name was talking, Malcolm was talking to us one day. The
Yeah.
blueprint of chutney is so well put together that, because the culture is so much a culture that is
Supportive.
people support and preserve within
Yeah.
them, within their community,
Hmm.
people continue to go towards, okay, this is what we're dealing with. But what was the regular artists in Guyana singing? They're singing mostly what is coming in from all over and trying to sing different genres, and
Exactly.
it's not really something that is embodied to say, yo, this is what we know, this is how we can deal with it. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
don't know. Something is lacking somewhere, man.
Well,
Something is
again, it is lacking from several standpoints. All right. But if you're focusing directly on the music, um, we haven't been able to fully explore and develop our sound because of the lack of the knowledge of instrumentation, right? Instrumentation is a big part of what kind of makes our music sound. We got good music, but it sounds a little.
What kind of instrument we got that could be included?
No,
All right,
no, no.
okay. So we
When I
got
say when I say instrumentation, sure, I mean, for example, each genre,
yeah,
all right, has different instruments that are unique that identify that genre. For example,
correct,
in reggae music, there is the
correct.
right the one drop. Now that comes in variations, whether they speed it up, slow it down, there is variation, but it's still the
Hmm.
all right. Now in Guyana, one of the guys that I kind of really looked up to, this is before he died, was Spider Man, a producer, right, from Linden. Spider and I were discussing what would we kind of label. For example, Trini got Trini bad, Guyana got boom drop, right? And it's something that Spider Man came up with when we were in discussion. And I said, Spider, our thing is different today, and it has a different rhythm, a different tempo, everything. So we should have a name for it at home. Although if a man take it to Jamaica and you hear it, he might say, "Well, this sound like dancehall," just like Byron Messiah song. All right, but
Yeah.
in Guyana, we would know it as boom drop. All right, we would know we got ring bang, we got boom drop, and we got chutney. You understand? Those are the three kind of individual genres that I isolate because Guyanese artists do not do dancehall music. I mean, they think they are doing dancehall music, but it's had a different sound. It has a different twist. You understand? Your whole arrangement of your words and phrasings are all different.
I think one of the reasons why the one man band got so popular fast, right,
Mhm.
is because it's close to the culture, especially the culture of what do you call it? The quick kind of culture, the folk kind of culture. If
Yeah.
you listen to the instrument and how them
Mm.
the rhythms that them man adapt into the whole,
Yeah.
it's like a dudum, 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 dudum. Most of the time that come in that kind of background.
Hmm.
So it's easy catch, right?
Is a movement. It's a
Yeah.
dance. Anything that it gives you the rhythm to move is what is going to be catchy.
Do you notice or have you noticed that Guyanese is not so much inclined to road march soca? They're more into groovy soca.
No,
I'm
well,
not
this is
I'm
why
not I'm
artists like
not sure if
this is why
anybody ever look
yeah,
at it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Guyanese are not into, and you could no. If you see, if they pay attention, they would recognize that. If you look at Mashramani,
Yeah,
if you look at Mashramani, and you look at even the May celebrations, when they do have some troops on the road for the cricket carnival,
yeah.
right? That type of revelry that you will see in Trinidad and in Brazil, it's not going to happen in Guyana because Guyana has a total different
It's a
orientation and a
total
different type of
flow. It's
culture.
total flow.
Yeah,
Yeah, for real.
is a different type of culture. So regardless, it's gonna look kind of like it's all right, but it's never gonna be like the rest because it's not an original thing. All right. Now, what we need to understand, like for example, in New Orleans, there's something called the Mardi Gras and those kind of things. It's very similar to a carnival, but it's got some other things involved in it, some other elements, right?
Yeah.
Now, we in Guyana, we have Mashumani, which at one point in time used to include mass games where there would be a lot of symbology and stuff like that. I think we kind of need to go back to that kind of structure because I think it breeds more a foster unity to build one thing. Because in mass games, in order to get a picture, everybody, a child will have to carry one part of the picture. All right. So
Yeah.
if we start, if we go back to some of the original things that we had structures in Guyana, like for example those type of games, it that is what we originally were structured on. We were not structured on,
Mars games and me pool and them thing.
yeah, yeah. Those are our cultural things, and we should have kind of, what we do is you enhance those things. All right, you create an enabling environment more where more people can get involved in it. All right, the you have an excellent terrain for example, all terrain vehicle racing and all that kind of thing. There's so much that Guyana has to offer, really, you know, and all of that again covered under our, we have to get protectionist laws to be able to do all this stuff that we talking, you know.
Well, that's very much important. It should be of importance to for the people, but of course, um, still got to get that. I hate to understand to say that, you know, there is no there's no way that things are looking up as in a sense of projection. We know that there's some leaders, or if even there's a ministry that's pushing from their corner, or and then you maybe have another ministry pushing from their corner to say, you know what, we need to come and get with the times, get with the because there's so many things coming out, so many
Hmm.
things happening,
Yeah,
and this need to go. We need to put these things in place.
yeah.
So that's the whole
but but
problem that's
but
happening.
but 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 again, it's not going to happen unless the community of um, creatives, because I can't say artists, right? It's not just musicians and stuff, you know. It deals with other aspects of it, because you need publicists, you need marketing people, you need photographers, you need videographers, you need writers, you need designers, you need people who understand lighting, people who understand engineering, you need backup singers, you need a whole heap of things, bro. You understand? We need a whole heap of things. So this is why it's called the music industry, because there is room, and Guyana ain't really got no big population. You understand?
So what's the avenues of a young artist that is creating good content,
Hmm.
have the potential to be a career artist living in Guyana?
Hmm.
What would you suggest his possibilities are in order to get away from that position that his music is eventually, yes, he's going to put all this together, but eventually it's not going to go nowhere. It's not going to do more than it can do, etc., etc.
Okay.
What do
One
you
one
think he should do, or she should do?
one of the first things our artists have to understand, it's called the music business for a reason, because it's about business. That means money, currency got pass. All
Right.
right. It's called commerce. Okay. Now, we, if for example, an artist will hire a manager, the manager is responsible for the day-to-day running and advice to that artist on, listen, I think we should go down this way, this is our direction, etc., etc. He is also responsible, he or she is responsible for hiring the lawyer, the publicist, the booking agents, all the other people that are needed to get this artist out there up and running, because a manager can't do it alone. The publicist has a responsibility to deal with the social media, the marketing aspect of getting that artist out there. The booking agent aspect, their role is to look for events that they can possibly fit the artist in. And a lot of artists in Guyana believe that, nah, anytime I go up on a show, it's pay, I gotta get paid. Well, unfortunately, let me enlighten you that a lot of the events that you see even when Jamaican artists come to Guyana, they do come to Guyana sometimes paying their own fare and everything just to be on a stage here in Guyana. And it
Right.
happens around the world. Because, for example, there are huge shows in the UK and in in Europe that you as a single artist you would be unable to pull that crowd at all. You wouldn't be able to pull 20, 30,000 people to that venue. But the promoters, because they can bring multiple artists to that venue and the crowd capacity can take a huge crowd, then you can then have that mass of crowd to um, drop your music in front of.
All right, but no, the thing is like this. Okay, as an artist, I'm more in suggestion of, is there a label that can actually be signed to? We can actually direct them, give them guidance in order to go to. There's a label that we can have. Uh, we can PR all your work, do what we got to do. Try to get you on to, in the sense of, even though you're a manager, right? You're actually trying to get them onto a certain label, a certain level, because it can't happen in Guyana because of what's going on. We have a place that we can direct them to. Is there anybody that is, in within the network that you could say that, okay, listen, when I finish with you, you'll be connected to so much. But of course, it got to overhead. You got to get a certain amount of money. You got to be financially ready to deal with everything. You
Mm-hmm.
also got to make sure you have a good management team that can actually have all these things
Handle
properly
business, handle business.
handle business properly for you. You know what I
Yep.
mean? Because you can't just go and take yourself and throw it and give it to the man who would do ready to look at
Well,
what you got and see how you can capitalize.
on the label aspect of it, Sharon, as you know, I have a favorable relationship with VP Records. I've reached out to several Guyanese artists in terms of, hey, there's opportunity with getting your music demoed um, with VP, um, getting in contact with the people there. For example, I don't think they'll be able to link up with Miss Chin, but there are people, for example, there's Edwin, there's Donovan, there are other guys there who, who, if they wanted to pursue, really getting with a label and getting to understand the ins and outs of getting with a label, because a lot of people feel, a label is just going to sign them. Why? The question, you got to ask yourself the question, why would they do that? You know, because I always ask artists, why would somebody expend the money on you? You're saying you don't have the money, but
Right.
you want to have an investor. But why is the question? If you had the money and somebody came to you with the talent, why would you invest?
Because if you notice, and a lot of people don't understand this part too, if you
Mm.
notice, a label don't sign you fresh off the block.
No, you gotta
They
have a
gotta
film.
see
You
you
gotta have.
create some kind of some
It's a
kind of
potential. It's
yeah.
potential.
They gotta see with the numbers, the popularity, the amount of places that you might have connected with because of a certain song,
Hmm.
um, how much shows you did. Also at the same time, it is so becoming popular. The music is coming across to say, okay, yeah, this is what's going on. Like
Hmm.
like for instance, Nige Boy,
Hmm.
he did Continental. Now they see what he did and they see what his potentials are.
Yeah.
Then Sony Record come from behind somewhere along the line and
Hmm.
say, we got a sound for you to do a collab. So we want to make sure we sign you on this song here. You
But you
understand?
see, what you got to understand as well too, Sherwin. Jamaica has a pretty strong functioning music industry,
Yeah,
and
but
it's
he's
well connected.
more on this side of things.
No, even if, but
Yeah,
the people who are structuring those kind of arrangements
correct. Yeah,
would be individuals who are deeply ingrained. For example, this lady who is very integral in the Jamaican music industry by the name of Sharon Burke. Miss Burke would have been instrumental in that arrangement with Sony and Najee Boy, because if you notice, she was able to get the artist CJ.
TJ.
Yeah, one of those big deals with
Yeah,
Sony and Warner Music. So
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying.
so
So this,
they have a working, they are well ahead, because they are well ahead in the structure, and this is why, in order for us to catch up and to get in, we have it fast tracked now because of the internet and because of the smartphones and all these devices that we have. So we can fast track it. All we need is to have the education and the laws, the enabling environment, because it's needed. If you don't have that, again, it's like a poodle with no teeth. All it could do is bark.
right?
There's no bite to the institution. There is no recourse. There is no legal implications if infringements and stuff are made.
Well, that's where we at, man. We have a lot of uh I can't point fingers because the thing is that I don't think I don't think nobody's blind. I think people are just naive to what they're seeing. A lot of promoters and these guys that's was monkeying around for a little while.
Mhm.
Try I maybe feel that they maybe get it serious and understand what they're playing with, or they just ease off to see if anybody can forget and then come again. You
Yeah,
understand?
but
Try to
guess what's
chip in.
really funny? You know what's really funny that I saw, right? A lot of them are claiming, oh, we want to go on the international stage, we want to go on the big stages, right? No, one of the things I saw, there was a Guyanese dancehall artist on a big stage, and his performance sucked. You know why? Because one, he didn't understand how to command the stage. That was one, and secondly, he didn't. His producer or whoever was working with him did not say, "Listen, guy, when you get up there, you got to control your breath," which was supposed to be taught by your voice trainer, which you're supposed to have, so that you know how to control your breath, so you don't be shouting on the mic until you lose your voice.
Yeah. And
So it,
who might have been?
they know themselves, man. They know themselves.
Oh, Jaja.
Trust me, they know themselves.
You
And
know,
I really expected a lot better. I expected better.
you see, the thing is when you want to be somebody other than yourself, you
Well,
got a good talent. You have your own talent.
it's
You have your
called
own
growth.
style. Yeah. You
It's
got to
called
make
growth.
sure
Excuse me.
people love you for what they actually hear. You know what I mean? You're now trying to go on the stage and you try to do certain things that another man do, but he could hold your breath. You do it and you can't hold your breath. You're gonna sound funny.
You sound
You're gonna
funny.
sound stupid. Yeah,
You sound
definitely.
funny. You sound like you're losing your breath. You're shouting. It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot. Our artists have to also learn, and this is another thing too. Our promoters don't really get into. Choreography of your performance and your show is very important. You understand? So there are dimensions to each aspect of the business, and this is where people come in. One person can do all these facets of the business I'm talking about. They could never do it.
Yep.
It can't work.
The
This is why. Yeah.
choreography. These the Jamaicans is mastering, which is they was talking about it the other day. They're mastering DJing over the performance, right? So it's a DJ in the background with a laptop
Hyping.
and
Hyping
he's
the
just
performance.
hyping, but it's more like a DJ in the performance while it's like a created a hype while
Yeah.
the person performing.
Hmm.
The music of which is more the reggae music, for
The
sure.
dancer kind of
And the
thing. Yeah.
dancehall of the 90s was
Hmm.
more performance of a band actually,
Yeah.
backed by a band. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? And this is the whole game of weight going to this.
You see, well, Sherwin, what you've touched on there basically is how the culture is being kind of eroded, right? Because you remember last week, Martin and I were talking, and Martin was alluding to the development of the 808s in the music now and all of that, right? Now, all of that has infiltrated the origin, the original of what we had created in the Caribbean, which is our unique song and beats.
Right,
All
right.
right. Now, when that has come in and started to basically infiltrating what we have, so it's taking away from the entire band culture. So you don't find that kind of real classy music. Because take for
Yeah,
example, if you go back a couple of years, like in Sparrow Day time, these guys used to have orchestras playing calypso music
yeah. Everything
with
was,
orchestra with brass section.
yeah,
All right. And we have, by moving into more of these electronic digital type of things, we're losing what is like one artist pointed out back in the day when we were younger, we used to listen to talented artists,
right.
all right, on the radio and our performances. Now it's not about talent, it's about how popular you are.
Yep.
So now the consumers, what you're hearing is not
Talent,
talented artists, you're hearing popular
popularity,
artists. You're hearing popular artists. So
trending.
they exactly. So their music has no real substance or content or
Yeah.
body. So it kind of that's why it's so fleeting. So you hear of these artists today, and by next week you're wondering they exist. They're like
Because
they
it's
don't.
it's
They're
it's
off.
electronic songs. Like look at
Yeah.
this. A lot of these, boy, it's kind of songs, kind of being a little, away from, trying to be nice with different cultures. But when you
Hmm.
really be on the straight part of thinking about it, like I give you an example. I used to listen to when they used to be playing, the police band,
Hmm.
and I know that there was a certain sound from the band. They playing all these different pieces of the band, the brass section and everything.
Yeah.
And suddenly there was a donation that came from China.
Hmm.
When the donation came in, the whole thing sound different. Because all the different sounds that you used to get, it sounds at a like slight higher pitch. It was
Hmm.
not the same sound that you were accustomed to as a kid. Like, nah, this ain't sounding like what I know. You know what I mean? And this is the same thing that's happening with where they're substituting the instruments into electronics of
Hmm.
what these all these hardware and software that they have.
Hmm.
Because of these electronic sounds, they don't realize it. Because if you listen carefully, like as a musician, you will hear
Hmm.
the same sound. If you want to hear a bass, you hear the same deep bass. You don't hear that different tone of
But but but
guitar
but
strings.
But what you're saying is exactly right, Sherwin. If you notice, one of the biggest sensations in reggae music in the last 15 years was Chronix.
Yeah,
And why Chronix was able to do that was
because
because of
they're
the
using the
band.
instrument. You
Yeah, the
use the
band.
instruments.
Yeah, the band Zinc Fence.
Yeah,
They were able to kind of, what they did with the reggae music, they were able to fuse it with a bit of a flair of, some of it had a flair of R&B in there
yeah,
when they did it, especially on the live,
yeah.
So they were able to, and they showed the world. The bands give the true essence, the true feel of the music. Those digital gadgets are not going to be able to give you that resonance.
But that's what I feel that Summers be catching everybody with. because those band instruments that he's using, you could
Because
tell.
he's going back to using live instruments in the studio.
Correct. You
Mhm.
could tell where there is natural live instruments being used to create a pattern, and with that now it gives you that kind of a richness. It gives you that you would hear that you would hear a run on a bass, but you would not hear the continuous same pattern because you can hear something else between.
Mhm.
It sounds good, and they love it, and they keep it. And that's one of the reasons why you make the music kind of, nah, this is different, bro. Because on our software, it's gonna give you the same rung over and over, and then it's gonna give you all of that filling where it's supposed to fill in, and then come again on the same loop again all the time. So, I mean, I don't understand. I don't understand if nobody is understanding, but I think it might be a little more expensive to have musicians go. You gotta create all these beats for one tune.
But this is what, for example, this is what the creative process is all about. Man. All right, it's not about run in the studio now, run back out in the next 2 to 3 hours. Yeah, I got a tune here, boy. I got into the radio. I want Facebook. I want what?
Oh,
That's not music business, bro. You know what I mean? That's some kind of happy-go-lucky kind of crazy hobby stuff. That's not music business. So we got to go back to the principles of music business, bro. All right, this
well,
is this is the fundamentals of learning of what it is. I would encourage a lot of individuals to read, and if you're not so versed in reading, because sorry to say, I know for a fact that a lot of our artists are not good at reading and comprehension. So this way you got it. Go to YouTube. And like I said, if you can't type it in, you might misspell the words so you don't get exactly what you're looking for.
yeah,
Okay, at least you could say it,
say
or
it,
you could
yeah,
get
voice,
somebody that could say it for you,
yeah,
and they can say it, and you can be able to find that information on YouTube,
straight,
and they will be able to narrate most of it for you. You're not going to be able to get a lot of the deep legalities and how it works, and some parts of it you wouldn't understand because it varies in different regions. Like it varies in the Caribbean versus the US versus Europe, that kind of thing. So you have to understand this is why working knowledge of the industry is most important.
yeah,
And I keep saying this to a lot of people. People feel, oh, well, I could just jump in and do it because I see somebody else doing it. No, that person has been working in it. So you got to understand there must be some intricacies involved.
mm-hmm,
So as much as we could be on here and explain as much as possible, actually doing it is a different scenario. Applying the knowledge is where it really happens.
right,
All right. And again, you're not going to be able to do it alone. This is why it's called music business, and you got to have a team because you have to have a lawyer. You have to have certain people with you to give you certain bits of advice. Because how would you know? For example, you remember when we were talking that day about the word in perpetuity,
right,
right? Um, and I said to you, if you ask several artists in Guyana, especially, and you ask them about if I gave you a contract, I'm giving you upfront 10,000. Would you take it? But the contract would include, that you are signed to me in perpetuity. And believe it or not, if
yeah,
I think if we were not online or on radio, um, talking about it and explaining to them the legality, also bringing lawyers on board like Mr. Boswick, Mr. Stansbury, and others, and industry individuals like Claire Ram. It would have been virtually impossible for them to really grasp it And these individuals have come on and said exactly what we are saying now.
Yep, man.
So I'm amazed sometimes of how difficult it is for individuals to put aside, I think, their ego and their, I don't know what else it could be.
Maybe it takes one day for one of the most successful artists to come out and say, "This is how it all went down," and then it's gonna create a trend. Say, "Oh yeah, this is what he wanted to do," and then everybody realize it. Because if you understand and you realize certain information is not given to you from an artist, most times when they're successful, as they get older, they might pass it on to somebody of what's what,
Hmm.
or at the same time, they will become they will create um their own stuff going on to sign you to what to them so that they can actually deal with their business instead of telling you what it is. You know what I
Well,
mean?
well, this is why there are people in certain positions. This is why they're lawyers. This is, you think a lawyer is going to go through law school, go through all of the rigors, get on the bar, acknowledged on the bar, and all that, and then do what? Pro bono?
Another big opportunity for singers though. If we notice, I think I said it before and I will encourage anybody to do it again, is you some of the big stage of these talent shows,
Hmm.
you know what I mean? But all in all, still,
Hmm.
you should capitalize on having a management or somebody that's into what's going on
So somebody must represent
so
you
that
as
they
the
can
artist.
represent you properly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because
And I hear now, Sherwin, that a lot of people are saying, oh, they're stepping into the boots of managerial positions. But I'm hoping, all right, and this is constructive criticism, I'm hoping that they do understand what a manager's position is all about. Because I think it goes both ways. The manager and the artist have to understand what their roles are.
yeah.
And artists don't get carried away and believe that managers are investors.
Well, there might be most times, what I mean, a man that is trying to get himself in, he looks at, well, this is an opportunity for, if you say you managing me, what do you think I gotta do? You gotta look and bring this and bring that and get me to reach here and all these different things.
Yeah, and you got to pay me.
But they don't understand that it
But
is
you have to pay the manager to do
it's
that.
working hours, yeah.
You have to pay a manager to do that. It's not, oh, go do this for me. No,
It's working
you pay
hours.
me to do that.
It's working hours. And as simple as it is,
They don't understand a manager is
they
paid
they've
to
reached,
manage an artist's career. That's
yeah,
what it's all about.
because it has reached to a level of these young upcoming DJs that is has high potentials that they're actually going into managerial they have managers that's taking care of them
Yeah,
in the
imagine
sense of
the DJs in Guyana realize that they can't handle their business. They've got to get a manager. For example, um, and I like what DJ Magnum did. He is one of the DJs that understand the assignment of one. I mean, there's a little bit more that he can do, but he understands the assignments at a certain point because when he got to a certain point, he realized, listen, let me switch over and let somebody handle my business, and all I got to do is focus on the business, going out there
right.
and being the best DJ I could possibly be. You understand? That is where even Magnum as a DJ showed um, Guyanese artists, well, hey, um, you best get with the program because that is the program. You understand?
Yeah.
You have to get with the program. That is the program. You can't eat alone. All right. So get over it. A matter of fact, basically, a lot of them gotta get over themselves, because it's really too much of inflated egos. You understand? There's a lot of inflated egos that make no sense because you gotta understand the business that you're in first. Then you can have an inflated ego. I am in the business and I can't afford to have an inflated ego. I need to be humble because
Yeah.
there's so much more I need to learn.
Yeah.
You understand? There is so much more. Intellectual property and the whole vastness of it is exponential because it goes into every sector. And there are different perspectives you need to understand it from. There's the legal, there's the creative. There's so much to understand it from. So we really have to get educated, and we have to pursue the politicians in terms of them in creating the environment for us to move, for that
Mhm.
growth to happen, and stop saying that, oh, we can be able to do this by ourselves. Let's form a group. Yes, let's form a group that first starts to lobby the legislation, because that is the first step. You would not be able to do it by yourself as a grouping.
Um,
We will be able to affect the politicians by saying, listen, we are a group of 6 or 10,000, and here what happened. We're going to throw our vote behind the party that is going with IP laws. So once you guys propose IP laws in your manifesto for the next elections, that's where our 10,000 votes will go. That is what is going to happen in Guyana because it's happening in Jamaica. That is the way they were able to get the politicians to look at the issue because the only way they understand you is through the vote. It's like they understand you through their pocket, and their pocket is the vote. So once you hit them right where it hurts, they understand.
mhm.
You understand? They understand that, listen, we got to deal with this issue, right? Because it's right there we get knocked.
Yeah, man. So today we're here and we actually talking more about and trying to
Mm-hmm.
get involved more about what it is to make sure you move forward. You know what I mean? In the sense of
No,
getting your
understanding
music,
the business.
yeah,
Understanding
getting
the
your
business.
music to the next level, and also figuring how you can get into uh certain stuff that is actually, you know, a, a vital part of an artist, you know, growing, and also his his music reaching places. But it all comes with, you know, putting yourself in place as as an artist and being managed. Or if you're a great manager, you know what I mean, you have all the connections and the network to put this all together, you know what I mean, you definitely will know exactly who to deal with. You understand all the ins and outs of the um of the music business and the things you're dealing with. You know what I mean? You understand. So as a the best advice as a an artist
Mm-hmm.
is better you try not to do, because I hear this all the time. You can do your own thing, you can be your own person, you can do this, you can do that, you can do that.
No, no, well,
Yes.
we
Out of
seen it.
a
We
hundred
see it.
person, I tell you straight up, only about 95 might only about five might be successful as everything.
No,
Seriously.
it can work because I see artists trying to be journalists. Um, they are trying to take over the spectrum of interviewing other artists. I don't know how that's going to work.
That
Because
that's
that's
that's conflict of interest, man.
It's a it to
It
my
makes
it's that's called that's the definition of that's an oxymoron. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? I mean, it doesn't work, bro. It doesn't work together. Those things do not go together. And unfortunately, people are gonna take it, um, are gonna be offended by our comments, of course. But they gotta be made because if you didn't put yourself in a position where you know, and not only us, I mean, people who are outside of Guyana and people who understand the industry, the reason they're not going to deal with you is because they're looking at what you're doing and they clearly see that hey, you don't have a clear understanding of the industry, so why deal with you know
yeah.
um there's another issue and an aspect to the industry which I think Guyanese really need to get on the get it in their head. If you're not paying the licensing fee to use somebody's mechanicals. And when I say mechanicals, I mean their track, all right? Or you're not in a position to buy the exclusive rights to the use of that person's work. Do not use it, even if it says it's for free.
Because they know how they getting money off of that. They getting all the money. Your song is there. Your song might be streaming. It's all for them.
And not only that, what a lot of in what has happened is that individuals will wait until you are making a certain amount if you're using their track illegally.
Hmm.
And like Wally, and I tend to make reference to a lot of the comments that Wally said to me when in conversation because he's one of the persons that kind of gave me a lot of insight into the music business. He said, where there's a hit, there's a writ. So you gotta understand that when you see a lot of this hit music out there, there's also writs coming behind them.
Hmm.
All right, because people feel that they have been part of the process to influence you in the direction of creating that material,
But
and especially if they were there and were really instrumental, they're gonna be, they're gonna be, they're gonna want to share the pie.
yeah,
So we have a far way to go. We have to understand that it's about working together, cooperating, using the best people in the industry in order to propel it forward. You can't use the individuals who don't understand the industry to propel it where? To propel it where? Where is it going to go if the individuals in it are not educated in it? So the basis of it has to start with education, mobilization, lobbying, lobbying in the sense where we have to take it to the standpoint of we are going to take it to the vote. If we are not going to get the issue of IP looked at, then we will withhold our votes as the creatives in Guyana, which is definitely more than 5,000, which would
yeah,
affect a seat in parliament. Because little do we know, 5,000 votes is a seat in parliament in Guyana. So understand what we have as a grouping in our hands to play with.
yeah,
You understand? And once we work on that aspect, we are going to get the government to then look at the legislation and change slowly and implement what we need in our environment to grow. You know,
yeah,
because
completely.
I'll show you some initiatives which I thought were excellent. There's a Chinese oil subsidiary company here in Guyana that took Jackie and took Diana Chapman, and they were responsible for creating some. I think some music and jingles for the for that company, right? That was an initiative which I think that, what happened to the Guyanese companies? Didn't they see the need to support the culture and to support the arts and the growth of the arts? Because this is the investment. This is where the private sector investment should be going. They should be more involved in the sponsorship of the creatives. But because the creatives are not organized and they don't understand the organization to organize means to have power. Because then you can affect not only the private sector, but you can affect the electorate, the government. And that is where you get them now to come to the table and say, okay, what do you need?
Yeah.
Because you're rattling the cage. You're not just sitting there and saying, well, it is what it is. At some point they ain't gotta look at me thing, man. Because this is how
You
we
quarrel,
approach it.
quarrel, 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 quarrel. And then when the person turns and say, okay, so then if
What
I
you
be
got?
able to do so, what you gonna do or what you got here?
No, what
And
you
then you
got?
just and then suddenly you just go dumb. Nobody knows where to start. They have no plan, but it's just reaction type of behavior.
I think,
So,
sure, in looking at the situation realistically, I think a lot of the Guyanese creatives have a problem with certain people being the persons who are looked at as the representatives of the creative industries in Ghana. I think that is the problem. All
well,
right.
I tell you, let me tell you something. Sometimes it takes a child to make you understand something and to have a child teach you or get you aware of something, it has something called humility. You must be humble.
Humble.
Must
Yeah.
come down to the humbleness to
Humility.
understand that I can learn if even it's a child,
Of
and I
course.
should be humble enough to, listen, I will make sure that I put myself in that type of place of not trying to say or behave as though I know it all or know better, but make that child understand that yes, I'm attentive.
Hmm.
I want to learn. I want to know the right ways. I want to go in the right direction. So since you know or you get the knowledge, I'm humble enough to deal with it. But this is what it is. Some people feel as though that the persons that is in that capacity, nah.
Hmm.
If I make you looking better than me, something are wrong. You know what I mean?
Yeah, 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 yeah. I see in the comment section, I see Chopo asking a couple of questions about a couple of artists he says have come together to form and they want to do host an emancipation concert. What date would you suggest to hold that show and why? And why the venue is available on Saturday. The venue is not available for any Saturday in August. I don't quite understand that comment. But I think Martin Chopo, it should be held in a day before the day or on the day after. Timing is everything. While the big event is held in Georgetown, they should hold their event in other regions. And this is something that I think is elementary.
We'll event in
E-
another region.
Exactly, it's
And
elementary.
one
What
of the
and
places,
look, you know how we know the government is actually trying to show them, hi, this is how you do it. The flag raising was held where the last time in
Linden.
Linden. Exactly.
But one of the places that is, especially when it comes to music that's coming out from the the community or in the ghetto or in the surrounding, one of the
Hmm.
places that we've seen that has that potential of support is Linden.
Yeah.
They have been support, especially reggae music and the dancehall music coming out of these small areas.
Yeah.
They are fully engaged and they're fully supportive.
Londoners seem to have more of a patriotic vibe to
Correct,
their own,
correct.
and this has to do to Sherwin. You got to understand that Linden is a bit isolated from the capital city because of its distance.
Right,
So it has managed to develop its own culture per se.
right.
All right. So they have more of a supportive. Um,
I believe that was even from the days of football.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Linden was so successful because they had teams, and those teams were properly and fully supported from their different areas.
Hmm.
And then whichever team, which is most times, reaches to the Kashif and Shanghai finals,
Hmm.
you know what I mean, is strongly supported big time.
Yeah. Hmm. You see, we have to get into the frame of mind of real support
Yeah,
for what
yeah.
we have, for not only the products but for the arts, the sports, the creative. This is what we're talking about. And in order to foster this efficiently and also to garner money because it's an industry, the laws have to be in place to enable it to work. Radio stations have to pay blanket license to air music. Venues, parties, hotels, clubs have to pay blanket license to air music. They have to submit information to the broadcast authority that says this is what we're playing, this is what we're paying. Or the broadcast authority can make a blanket license that says, okay, hotels will pay this amount for music. Um, Clubs will pay this amount for the use of music. All right. And it starts the process because you can't have people's work being exploited by individuals, and they're the ones who are putting in the work so that that music could be out there. All right. This is why we don't really have, for example, in the area of inventions, one of the reasons we haven't really been able to capitalize on that area. It's because of the very reason of IP. Because when you invent something, you've got to protect it not only in Guyana, but outside of Guyana. And this is
Mhm.
because Guyana is not linked to the international regime properly. We need to be updated because once you register something here, it's supposed to be registered internationally. It's supposed to go like every other country to the international database. For example, McDonald's. Do you see anybody being able to use that without specific permission or buying the franchise? KFC, churches, all of these are franchised out companies. All right. It's a brand. Your brand is very important. Nike, Adidas, in terms of the sneakers area. You have to understand branding. So, as an artist, as a creator, all of that is about branding whatever it is you have, whatever business it is that you're into. Even as a producer, you have to brand yourself. This is why they're producers that are known just as well as artists like Steven Spielberg. All right, just as well as actors and all of them. And this is all why we need IP because actors, even who act at the cultural center, who want to act in short skits. I notice on social media, for example, Kunchi and these other guys who do short skits and comedic stuff on social media. They themselves have to be protected because their content is original.
I see Timo
Hmm.
won the producer of the year for the Soca Monarch.
Hmm.
I think he was I had a post like that, and
Okay.
a substantial amount of 10,000 US. Um,
Hmm.
I'm not sure how that is going, which is something good. And if you get in all of that, all that already without a real industry developed. You could tell what it's going to be like if that comes on stream.
But this is what I'm trying to explain. That really is development money. That's
Yeah.
not that's
But
not
that was
paying for
maybe
any.
was in the budget for whatever it is.
That,
You
that,
said.
that that's to develop, because again, let's go back, like I mentioned earlier. One of the issues we have is understanding instrumentation. What goes with what? If we
Yeah.
want to create, for example, we have some artists that like the R&B sound. We want to go down that way. We want to go down that contemporary way. Okay, you have to understand the instruments that work with the sound, the keys in that particular genre.
Yeah.
All right, soca is different, dancehall is different, reggae is different. There are components that go in to each that make them what they are.
Hmm.
So we have to understand instrumentation. It's a big part, a big facet of what we need. You understand? We can't just, okay, I make a fancy beat. It's all over the place, right? Yeah, let's throw a couple artists on this. And the artists, because of their lack of understanding of they need guidance from their manager. This is why they must have a manager, because a manager would say, "Listen, I don't think we should go on that's a waste of time." You understand? Producers will solicit artists to go on the track,
Yeah.
and they will say, okay, oh Malachi, we'd like to have an artist on this particular track. So I'm like, so how are we working it out? Are you paying us to go on your track?
Hmm.
All right. People don't understand this. They think, okay, well, if we're not going into a collaborative effort between the producer and the artist, then you pay me to get on your stuff.
Yeah.
Because if I'm an independent artist, I'm going out there and I'm going to get my production done myself with my team. My team is going to put that together. If I'm going with somebody else, then it's got to be something that helps to build my career. And
You know.
this Guyanese artists have to understand as well in collaborations. You're not collaborating with somebody to just for collaboration's sake. It's order to garner their audience. In other words,
Correct.
I'll give you an idea. It's like when Rema and what's her name did the song, the remix to the Afrobeat track that Rema had, and it's a big song in the US, right? It's because they're sharing each other's
You know,
platform and
Ariana Grande.
audience. Yeah, in each other's
Ariana.
yeah, and they're sharing each other's audience. She's
Correct.
got an audience of millions. He's got an audience of millions, and by that collaboration, they then cross. This is why they're called crossovers, because they're now sharing each other's audience. He's getting into the American market, and she's penetrating the African market because she's alongside him.
Kaboom.
So there is so much. This is what I'm saying. It's an industry that we we as Guyanese, if we do understand it, there should be no bickering and fussing and squabbling and fighting. There should be more of understanding and educating yourself, so you have a greater grasp of the task at hand. Because if you don't understand what you're involving yourself in, you're just going to be running on the spot and wasting time.
But that's why you need great management or good management in order to set up so many different opportunities, negotiate, also at the same time, you know, have
Well,
some kind of a
I'm not cutting you short, but just let me
yeah,
say that by you mentioned opportunities, right? And I advise people to go on YouTube and Google Akon's interview, recent interview, right? Where he's talking about opportunity. You have got to, as an artist, right? They're thinking being an artist is all about two things: just the fame and this whole glamour. That's what you get as the artist. But that opens the door for you to do business that would actually make you real money. All right. I'll give you an idea. If you look at Rihanna, if you look at Akon, if you look at a lot of these artists, their success is not really based on their music alone. All right. They have managed to use the business because this is what, as an artist, this is what you're doing. You're using your craft to bring the audience for you to sell a product to them, not only your
Correct.
music, but you
Correct.
can sell other products to them.
Yep.
All right. You can get into apparel. There's all kinds of stuff you can get into as an artist. All right. This is not one thing. So it's a doorway to business,
That's a doorway even for designers.
everything.
A designer would come to you and would set up a contract with you to wear their designer clothes or
Exclusively.
outfits
Exclusively.
exclusively.
Yep.
You
That's
being
endorsement.
you being paid is already
Yeah.
an agreement of how much you're being paid
Uh-huh.
every time you put out one of these things.
Yeah.
They have different companies that is definitely want to make you the face of the company. They
Endorsements again. Yeah.
yeah,
As well.
they have different ways and means that you can actually well, if you want to go exclusive, you find that niche where
And
you
and
know.
and and
Yeah,
you can't do this alone. Again, you have to have the team with the
yeah, you gotta
agent
get a great
to
team. You gotta
go
get a
out
great team.
there and
Yeah.
to source those individuals and to convince them to bet on you.
Because as we know, the passion of Bob Marley was he realized that he got a talent and also he has a calling of what he wanted to do. At the same time, it became a demand, a business demand. He used his friends and maybe who his friend brought to him. Also, he had a lawyer, which was that woman. He had a lawyer. He had a road manager. He had his different things that different persons that he had involved.
But
Yes, of
Mali had a
course.
lot of things.
Yes, of course. Along the way, he realized who was doing things that was not right in the business, but that didn't make him fail as an artist because all in all, they were setting up they're setting up the business, but at one point he found out that this guy was overcharging the people. But
No,
he
what
was
happened? What happened is that he wanted the tour to Africa. He just wanted accommodations and transportation. He didn't want them to be charged for
correct.
him to do the events in Africa. And the manager um, decided, okay, well, if you don't want to collect it, I will collect the money. Not that he said, okay, I'm gonna go and charge a price. They gave him money to say, okay, well, hey, we're gonna pay anyway. And because Baba had already said to the manager, I don't want to pay, whatever money was left, that just went to the manager, and that is what they thought was, that's not what we wanted to be. That
Yeah.
was not our image as Bob Marley and the Wailers. So, that was where that conflict of interest came in. But
Yeah.
they resolved those issues anyway later
Yeah,
on.
but what I'm saying is the whole thing is coming back to the real stance of people that was representing you in order to get you on the instead of you gotta be thinking about all these different things. Those things are already in place because of who's working behind the scenes. You're the image
Exactly.
of
You're the brand. You're the
you're the
brand.
brand. You're the person that has to be babied in the sense of you need rest. You gotta
You
get
are
a
the
certain
you are
amount
the
of time to
product.
rest.
You are
They
the
got
product that we
they got a
selling.
certain amount of time between this time and this time. We got an interview in this period of time. We got this going on. We got that going on. And it moves that professionalism because you see it with even the artists as as small as they be, coming from all these small islands, for sure they got a structured routine that they want to work with when they come down there because that's how they're schooled.
Hmm.
As a manager, this is how it's gonna go. This is how we running it. Not all
Well,
artists gonna be always happy about what's being done, but at the end of the day, you got to stick with the
they
team.
have to, they have to trust
You got to
the
trust the team.
process.
Yeah, yeah.
You gotta trust the process because it is a process. It's not a fly. You fly up today like you do two, three songs and you are international artists. I hear artists from Guyana calling themselves international artists, and I'm like, international artists. Interesting concept because I mean, international artists to me would at least have more than 2,000, 200,000 um, listeners per month on iTunes or Spotify or AudioMac, one of those major platforms. So if you don't even have that amount, you are still a struggling artist.
I mean, it's only Georgetown, part of Georgetown listening to you.
No, it's not even part because those artists who really manage to get their music out there in Guyana
Mm.
are only going to hit a certain amount of people.
But that's what I'm saying because they got to develop that kind of audience through someone that is maybe away from Guyana to actually put their materials on the platform. Then they got to trust that person too, like you're saying, because it comes through all the agreements that you're working with. You got to trust the person to to actually run a page for you, run your social media. You know what I mean? You got to trust the person to do business in the sense of being a road manager and trying to put
Looking for
together
your
shows,
events,
looking for events, looking
publicizing it.
for
So
these type.
yeah,
There's a lot of stuff, but it's only the only way it can happen is just you got to trust the process.
and while your team is doing that, and you're trusting the process, your focus
And
is music,
you in the studio working
day and night.
and bringing out
Because
more
the
to
only
give
way
them to
you
work.
get the only way you get to the zenith point of being able to create really good music, getting good with wordplay and all of that, is if you're doing it on a constant basis. As they say, practice make perfect. Look at it in that same layman terminology. Practice
Yeah.
makes perfect. So if
Mhm.
you can't tell me, oh, I do 20 song, man, 20 song, and you call that a career? Like really, come on. You artists produce songs like hundreds of songs, but not every song they produce is released.
No, there's
There's a
a lot of
difference.
there's a lot of partly written songs. You already have a melody to it. You already got a feeling of a beat towards it, but it is not what really is pulling you at that moment. You move out to that one and come back to that one later. You
Not
know
only
what I
that,
mean?
it's an issue of what we call relevance, timing. All right, because sometimes the lyrics in a song may be pertinent to the time, so you got
Yeah,
to kind of fast track that particular song. It might have to come out as a single,
yeah,
especially if it's very relevant to a subject matter that happened.
right.
All right, that's if you're in that sphere, if you're that type of artist. Or if you're a type of artist that's looking to drop music that will be eternal, longevity, it could play anytime. All right. Like that, you have to take more time. You gotta construct your words. You have to have a lot of good writing. If you can't do it, then means you have your team has got to hire a songwriter. All right, these are all facets to the game that if an artist can't follow, you got shortcomings. This is where your manager gets people on board to follow up those to deal with those shortcomings.
Correct.
You can't write hit songs. That's fine. That's okay. A lot of artists don't write their hit songs. Neo write for Rihanna, Beyonce, and all these people. They didn't write a lot of those hit songs. Other artists wrote those hit songs, and our artists in Guyana also have to learn. Listen, we got to learn to share. Those in America and in Guyana and in London and all over the place, we got to learn to share our material amongst ourselves because the first grouping that you
Share,
could,
man, I say
well,
you want to pay for him.
no, you want, no, they're not pay. They can say you want to teach the thing. You know that again is where the trust issues. But if you got trust issues, all you got to do is make sure you protect all your material, especially for those artists who are outside of Guyana, like living in the US. And I'm hearing a lot of halabaloo. I don't know how you're in the system where everything, where you have the opportunities to move forward really.
But
But
you
you're
look
looking
back.
but you're looking back at Guyana and saying, little Guyana got to do it for me.
Yo,
I don't understand the ideology at all, bro.
here's the
Because
problem,
you're
right?
in the country that have all the copyright laws, all the ways to make money, 180 something ways to
You
make money
looking
off
back
of your music.
and
But
how
you're looking
you
at
can
Guyana with no copyright laws, absolutely no music industry, nothing at all. And you're saying, oh, I vex with them down there because they ain't booking me for show and they ain't recognizing my work, da da da. I mean, we gotta grow. We
Yeah,
gotta
but
come
look
off
at this.
the
You
childish mentality got done.
what you feel
And
about this though? In the sense of creating uh real good creatives that is actually will be fully commercial, even though you're trying to um add a little flair of the culture,
mhm,
right? But it is being made in such a way that it can be a catch for anybody that's listening, that they will not be puzzled that what really this dude saying. Is it really what he's saying there? Is this something that I should be listening to in the sense of in the presence of my um I might have kids around, whatever, whatever, whatever.
mhm.
What is it that he's saying that is really making sense to me or whatever? So I
No,
don't
okay,
know.
all right. No, one of the first things that again, and it goes back to understanding. Um, like for example, what's your direction in the music? What do you really your purpose of doing the music? All right. Now your purpose will drive your confidence,
Correct.
right? Because one of the things I think Guyanese artists lack in total is confidence, right? Um, if you go right now and you go on the streets of Kingston, from the time you land in the airport in Jamaica, I swear to God, everybody's an artist. Everybody can sing, especially if they know you are involved in the music industry in any form. You're a personality on radio or they say DJ or whatever. Everybody can sing, all right, and everybody exude a certain level of confidence in what they're singing. Although a lot of it sometimes is among to a lot of trash, right? But they have their confidence. Now, Guyanese don't have that level of confidence in what they do and say, all right? Because they're not confident in their identity, I would say, right? Their individuality. And this has nothing to do with Black, Indian, Chinese, Amerindian, whatever.
Right.
This has to do with your identity as Guyanese. We just have to throw away. And I'll tell you one of the things I'm saying this out bold and things, Sherwin. One of the things I think is holding back Guyana with the whole unity process is that the government should remove all them holidays that they have, that separating each race, the saying Chinese, take away all them things, and there's one holiday.
Correct.
You
It is
understand?
too much
It's
of,
too much of waste time.
yeah, it's too much of um single identity.
Yeah. You're singling out
It's a lot of singling out,
a lot of
and with that now, it causes that kind of
those are
oh
some of the crutches that
yeah,
help to propagate
and yeah,
the segregation in the whole coming
and I
together.
still don't understand because that's mostly how the politics runs. They
Mhm.
would claim that oh, it's really not so, but you know, if even you might say that you are not of a certain way, sometimes the patterns, right, or the things that is a culture, you know that it created this society that we have here, and you want
Yeah,
to break it down, you got to come out with a message that is going to say, listen, like the message is saying one Guyana. If you're
yeah.
saying one Guyana, fix the culture that is not bringing the
Guyana took the
oneness.
oneness exactly,
Fix the culture in that way.
exactly.
So it's like you support that with all that you are actually preaching.
Once you say
And
one
the,
Guyana, you have to have
right, the things that
initiatives
you're
that
showing
make it
off,
one Guyana.
brushing off, putting aside, and let people know, yo, listen, y'all ain't doing this no more. We can do it because we want to make it just like we saying and trying to put it out as a concept. We make sure
Hmm.
that we practice what we preach. It is gonna
Exactly.
come like that. But you know, this is the politics, and it's the way the
Yeah,
politics depends on this type of system. And they try to say, "Oh no, it's not. Now you see, this is what's going on." But it's the same thing you see. You old enough to you're not blind. You see that's going on. Um, in the sense of um what we're fighting for right now. Others are staying quiet because they're getting a better something off the thing. Like, yo,
no,
I don't make
they
noise.
they getting better support because I'll give you an example.
Simple as
Um,
that. So they stay
the
quiet instead of
the
saying, hey,
reason,
we come together because if you think about it, this really is beneficial for a broader or a wider um, future of what our industry
okay,
is.
all right.
Not just,
Let me break it. Let me just break it down like this, Sherwin.
yeah,
The other day there was a chutney show in Berbice. All right, I'm just giving you and for those people who are thinking about race, take that out your mind. All right, there was a chutney show in Berbice, well attended show. People were there until the end. You understand me? Guyanese and Trinidadian chutney artists, Hitman, Ravi B, all of that I tell you was there. All those people were there. All right, performing. Now it was well supported. Now, people were saying, oh, well, it's Barbies. You know, all Indian people going to go out to them chutney show. Okay, that's all well. It shows that they're, one, supportive, and two, they're patriotic because Terry Gadraj and those artists were there and people came out to support their Guyanese artists in Berbice.
right.
All right, let's juxtapose now and come to Georgetown and put on, like, for example, Jomo had a Jomo and Friends in Georgetown. Yeah. And these are some of the things that we talk about when it comes to Guyanese supporting their thing. And let's get realist. Let's get real with it. The Afro Guyanese in Georgetown like to support foreign artists. Tell me I'm wrong.
Well, that's that's definitely a fact, right? Because you see, there's where we go again, right? It is not. something that is forceful coming from the Ministry of Culture, right?
Mhm.
To say, all right, if we, for the amount of things that's happening, the content, content must be in such a way as per percentage, like we was trying to say. You have to make.
You gotta put laws and legislation
That's what I'm
and
saying.
in place that says if you're going to broadcast with a video or audio content in Guyana, there's
No,
a
if
certain
even
percentage.
promotion, bro, even
Yeah, and
promotion,
yeah, even
you
promotion,
must.
you
It must
must
not
have.
be. Yeah, you get a whole ton of people that's coming, just for your own um financial benefits. But at the same time, there is no patriotism of who's coming or who we can actually attract to come and learn about what we got here.
But sure, when the funny thing about it, if our artists were all together, right, in a body, and that was going on. You remember I had suggested years ago. It's a simple thing you could bring the politicians to the table. Just and the promoters will catch themselves. Just boycott every show. In other words, they're gonna bring in. Let's say they bring in any big artist. So the big artist is gonna open and close. You think that gonna work?
Nah, that ain't gonna work.
That ain't gonna work. They need the low
That's one.
the artists on
Um,
the ground. So they
two,
don't understand their worth already.
two. You gotta people gotta stand up and say, listen, all right, I'd rather put my stuff on stream rather than you try to create a forward off of it. You know what I mean? You work towards a different. You see, this where even like you was Martin was mentioning it the other day, and I even overheard Gordon make the mention of it.
Mm.
The amount of stations that's owned by Guyana as
By
a
the
state,
government.
by the government as a state,
Yeah,
should
exactly.
have been a station that is being pounding on a rotation, pounding all that's
Because they
coming out
have the
local.
ability, to hit all the regions, right, in Guyana. And the music of Guyana is the music that should have been publicized
Should be
all
pounding all
across
the time.
Guyana. Exactly.
Or if even you want to make it a mainstream, let me say you make it
You
a
don't have to
mainstream
make it to
studio.
anything. You
Um
just have to ensure that the
yeah, but you make it
content.
a mainstream studio that is relaying all these the same programs to all these different regions and different regions in the sense of making sure that the local content is pounding. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Bro, no. That ain't happening, son. That ain't happening.
But are the artists, the producers, the people involved in it, are they saying we need our music played?
They could say it forever, but there is no law, like you said, that is set up.
So how are
You
they
know,
gonna change that? Remember, you gotta look. As far as I'm concerned, I am a solution-oriented type of guy. When I see a problem, I look for a solution. That's how I'm
correct.
thinking.
Right.
So the
But
solution is to create certain
but,
things
but
that will then.
you alone is in that picture of yo, yeah, we can struggle. It's like a struggle. You say, okay, we can struggle for somebody to understand. But whenever
But
they
it,
see the unity,
but in order to Jamaica have an industry, all Guyanese who in it know that Jamaica had a struggle too. People
yeah,
got
of
to
course. But
fight, go hungry, go
you
to
have to come
jail,
with
all kind of things.
you have to come with that unity, and you have to make sure that it's strongly enforced by the movement,
Yeah,
and they will understand more. But there's this group fighting here, this group fighting here, that group is fighting here. Everybody's saying we better than whatever, whatever, but nothing started. You know what I mean? Get it started and then get the competition to go wrong, like in the sense of okay,
but
you can choose this management group, or you could choose that management group, or you could choose uh this person that have a label, you know what I mean, a label company, whatever, whatever.
but
It didn't reach
Sherwin,
that. It didn't reach.
you
There's a
reach.
cat. There's a cat before the horse.
That's the cat before the horse, right there,
So you
right?
need to get
Because
the. Yeah,
we
bro.
It's
Sick, man.
sometimes it
Everybody
really
fighting one another. Everybody backbiting and talking in secrets here, there, and everywhere. Yo, we
it really
need to
gets
get this thing
annoying.
together, fix it, get it to work, get it up and running. You know what I mean? And then after
In
that,
order to fix it, Sherwin, in
it's
every
got to be competitive.
organization, there's something called transparency. All right,
It can't come from a
any
it
any
cannot come from a
organization
group.
or any grouping that's going to be formed has got to be transparent in every aspect of it.
That's why no monies should be injected in that group from any entity. That group should be a group that is passionate enough to take it by step, take it to the ministry, and then force the ministry, which is dealing with what it is as per culture music, force the ministry to say, okay, we can take it to Parliament. We take it to Parliament to lobby, and also, if possible, take somebody that understands what it is that has to be.
It wouldn't be one person. It
Well, of
couldn't be
course,
one person
however it is put
because
together.
it will be a grouping. It will be a
But
grouping
soon
because
as
there
you
will be
look at
several
like
several
some of these
aspects of
groups,
the industry.
but what these some of these groups is saying, they want to lobby to get money to run the group and to um support the artist, this, that, whatever. That is where the problem comes along. Because it takes away, oh yo, it's a handout. We can collect the handout, everybody can get a piece. If you get a problem, come to me. I'm gonna figure out how I could try to, but at the same time, there's no industry, bro.
Well, you can't have an industry, especially if the government is operating the way it is, because the industry really is a competitive one. All right, you are defeating the purpose of competitiveness if you implement a situation where you're giving out grants so that students, anybody can have a studio, they can build their own studio, da 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 da. Yes, that is good to a point, but a lot of these people who are getting the grants, are they musically inclined? Have they studied music? Do they understand scores? Could they read them? Are they actual qualified engineers? Look, Sherwin, it's so much
No, I
that we
believe
have to get to the point and stop fooling
so.
around
We
and
we could
making
do
ourselves look
we could
stupid.
do like older government. Um, there's professional engineers in the Caracom hemisphere that
Mm.
is that is certified, or maybe that can certify someone an engineer because they might be that. I'm just suggesting, right? Or
Mm.
like previous governments did, send you abroad to make sure that you are certified.
But Sherwin, as it is right now, I have I have gotten the okay from 30 individuals
Mhm.
from the UK who are in the music industry. We're talking about players of instruments. We're talking about producers like the Mad Professor. You could Google the Mad Professor and see who he is. Ariro Records. He's a Guyanese, big in the UK. He has also pledged to me time. Once the government of Guyana says to me, okay, can we meet with your team? He's pledging time to bring 30 individuals, including himself, right? To come and to do workshops, training workshops with schools, with producers, with marketing agents, booking agents, all those type of individuals are all Guyanese who are in the UK and in the US who have pledged to me, listen, once you can make this happen and you could get the government to say, okay, let's look at bringing in our own people who are already involved in the music business outside of Guyana who have the knowledge. We can bring them in and help them to start the process of that development because you can't say, okay, we have an industry. It's got to start from in school.
Well, I've heard a reference made by an official in the sense of something similar to what you just said. And what he said is because such a project was not in the budget or a part of the budget, right?
Yeah.
Such a project, if someone is suggesting something like that in Guyana,
Hmm.
what they should do is make sure that, okay, you're being patriotic enough. We know that this is not something that we've covered or we're catering for. We will welcome that you come to actually give that kind of a knowledge to the people or help or exact whatever, etc.
Educate, basically.
Right. But at the same time, maybe if along the line, while in the process or so, we can actually help out with a few things so that this whatever could be successful. But you must not come with a projection of, okay, the government got to give you so much money in order to come.
No, it's a kind of mentality of handout more than work
That's
and
what it is.
accomplish.
So it's rather, it's not an interest,
No,
a strong
the funny
interest. So
the
it would
thing
not be.
the thing that has got me totally twisted with the whole mindset of the persons involved in the music industry, especially in Guyana, is that they believe that, hey, it's not really a competitive industry. It is.
Yes, big time.
It's a big time competitive industry. This is why you have, if the music industry, anybody could get into it, we'd had anybody as big stars. All right.
Can you
Although,
imagine the amount of money one
mhm,
artist that lives in Guyana, right? Can you imagine the amount of money that he generates and brings back into your country whenever he, or if ever he becomes big and
mhm,
comes back home and actually is residing in your country? There's a lot of
mhm,
money that's coming back into the country, and if you can get so much artists to reach to the levels where they can actually start touring, but
mhm.
they reside in Guyana, that's where that's how an
Money
economy
coming in. For
stirs
example, for example,
big time.
if you took the monies that we've invested, and again, you can't beat the promoters with a long stick and say, oh, them ain't taking Guyanese artists and all that. I don't believe in the foolishness. Because again, if you take Jomo and Friends as a reference, you can see where the support went. All right. It did not go to that event. One of the things we have to stop doing is stop. We have artists, yes, they are right, but they're not the cream of the crop. Our cream of the crop artists, a lot of them don't live in Guyana. For example, we have an artist by the name of Militant who's got a Caribbean hit for years since in the 90s called Hot and Groovy. All right? Show me.
Was he ever
That,
was he ever brought to Guyana for that song?
all right, that's what I'm saying. The only people who bring in Militant to Guyana is us, our team.
So
All right? Militant will
he
do it.
never actually got.
No, for any event. Look, they had enough soca events in Guyana. And Militant, who is one of the biggest Caribbean soca artists, create groovy soca in getting booked in Guyana. All
Well,
right.
but can you imagine paying for the amount, paying for the amount that you paid, um, a guy, the giant of South Africa to come from Africa to come, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm sure it's gonna be far less when you have a giant, but because the country did not actually uphold that patriotism
Mhm.
to make the younger people or the people that's coming up from that era, right, to be
Mhm.
aware of who we got that is so much big.
But on the flip side to what I'm saying and what you're saying too, Sherwin, our artists and our management teams or the people who behind these artists in Ghana don't understand that in some cases, for example, if I wanted to showcase an artist and I wanted them to make the biggest impact, Sherwin, I would go to the promoters, like for example, Hits and Jams, and I would say, how much can I pay you to have my I can't even say relatively unknown, my unknown artist on stage, on the same stage that Burna Boy can be performing at.
Well, that that's something that we accustomed to handouts again. We're not
No,
accustomed to
Guyanese artists can tell themselves who paying for go on a show. That's
exactly.
straight up. That's how they can think. But what they don't realize
Ma
is
tell
that
me the straight to the man say,
a lot of the artists you
you
watching now, they just pay to go on a show because they cannot listen. Let me show you this. Artists will pay to go on a show like Reggae on the River or Rotterdam or these huge shows that got 30, 40,000 people attending, right? You know why? If they put you on an event there, you can't pull 1,000 by yourself.
no.
But if you're on an event with big artists on that event, you are debuting in front of 30,000 people. So think about it in terms of exposing yourself rather than this stupid mentality of I ain't paying for go for no show, but does it back to front as an artist, me depend. Well, you best wake up. A lot of the individuals you see pay to go on shows, including Jamaican artists. This is why they get popular because they showcase in front of thousands of individuals. So they could put out a song that's relatively unknown, but by the time they finish on the stage show in front of 20 or 30,000 people, people gonna know their music.
Yeah. I could remember I could remember when they said who it was, I can't remember. Oh, they said that the there's groups in in the in Jamaica that will
Mhm.
actually orchestrate who they actually want to go on stage in the sense of passing the bread or
Mhm.
in the sense of yo, you don't know this is what's gonna be the order because of XYZ. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
everybody roll with it because that's the man of the area, this is the
That's
big boss, the big dots, whatever, whatever. So you don't know you ain't even asking a question. You just say, okay, if you said that's it, because what? We gonna push the forward on this youth.
but Sherwin, I can assure you, those type of arrangements don't go platinum.
No, it don't. It don't.
Them type of arrangements and things don't go
But
platinum.
there's the arrangement at the moment in time, and it creates a little spark or a stir.
It's like what I keep telling Guyanese artists all the time, bro. Nobody who's a gangster ain't going to the Grammys. Them ain't going platinum and nothing. No gangster. As a matter of fact, anybody ever thought about like a lot of these people who's all yeah, them as a real gangster as an artist, right? First things first, what's the gangster code? Not shut your mouth.
Of course.
So you out there name dropping, the first thing you can get your melon open. Because you breaking the gangster code by going out there and singing and calling people names. So these people ain't no gangsters. That's the first thing. So I'll be like, oh my goodness, bro. I don't understand how a gangster get in platinum. That don't work. It will never work. And even Vibes Cartel put out a short video when he was saying, listen, none of my bad man tune ever make it more than the girl tune and the party tunes.
Yeah, that's what happened eventually.
Because
That,
summertime and them tunes is the tunes that really make money for Vibes Cartel. Not
exactly.
not
When
not
when
me boss me. wherever me like, whether day or night. Them tune not making ain't making no money. No, but ramping shop and them tune making money.
Yep.
You understand? Because those are the party tunes. So we really have a lot to understand about the industry in Ghana and really get it in it, get it together.
Yeah, man.
All right. Happy
Yo.
music sells. You know what I'm saying? Happy music sells.
Happy music sell big time.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. We
You buy that
we
thing,
got,
man.
my gotta cut this right here, bro, because
Yeah.
make
You
sure
gotta-
we
you
stay
check us
strong. Yeah.
Mhm.
Let me give this before we get out of here. The views and information.
Disclaimer. Yeah.
The views, information, or opinions expressed during this program is solely those of the host, guests, and callers involved in the program and do not necessarily represent the views of Majestic
Those
Music Radio,
Radio.
its management, or the host, or verify
Other
for any
providers.
accuracy, or advertiser, sorry. Majestic Music Radio is not responsible and do not verify for any accuracy of any of the information contained in the radio program. This program does not constitute medical or professional advice and is solely for entertainment purpose only. Yo,
But hold on. Just before we wrap it up, Sherwin, my final thoughts. You could Google our information though, what we're talking about.
yeah,
Our
sure.
conversations are left up online, so you could always go check them out. Make sure you follow us on social media as well. That's on the Rush Guyana Industry Show. Tomorrow, check me out in the morning from 8 to 11 right here on Majestic Music Radio. We got 3 hours of the hottest GT, you know what I mean, to the world, you know, the total fusion. But my final thoughts for tonight, Sherwin, is we need to focus on the steps that are needed to be taken in order for us to get the right results. And
Correct.
once we focus on the steps needed, we will get there. Also, look at the entire setup of the Caribbean Music Awards. We can nominate. You have until June the 30th. That's the end of this particular month to get at least to read up what's going on with the Caribbean Music Awards. If you can nominate artists, the criteria to get them in there. Because again, I pointed out that I think Samuel Madas, based on his accolades, the awards that he's gotten throughout the Caribbean as an upcoming gospel artist, I think he can be one of Guyana's nominees for the Caribbean Music Awards. So for those supporters, go and look at that. For those artists, go with your team, find out how you can get involved in the Caribbean Music Net Awards. All right. And next Tuesday, more info, more conversation.
Same time, same place.
Yeah, sure. Bless
Yeah,
up.
man. Bless.
So until next time, you don't know people, stay safe. If you're driving, be easy. We out.
Stars among stars. We, lights, camera, someone.